It starts out with Macbeth being informed by a witch in our version, the original is several witches, that he is going to be given a higher title because of his valor in battle, and not only that, he's eventually going to become king, which right away he's startled by and kind of confused and not sure why he's being told these things. And then right away, someone comes and tells him that that he is going to be given a higher rank, the Thane of Cawdor. And so he's surprised that one of the things that he is told has come true, and so that kind of starts the ball rolling of him towards him thinking that he might become king. And he informs his wife, and his wife convinces him to murder the current king who was staying at his castle. His wife sort of pushes him over the edge and convinces him that it is a good idea and that it will be easy, and since it's foretold, then it's the right thing to do. And so he kills the king, and immediately following that, he starts to have extreme paranoia and hear spirits and ghosts that are telling him that he's going to be tortured in his mind. And so it begins this whole spiral of murder and deceit, and eventually it catches up to him.
Where did I draw my inspiration to update the story? The need to update Shakespeare in any classical story, not to keep it as a museum piece, but classics need to be looked at. They shouldn't be kept under glass and always done the same way. That way it still becomes fresh and it speaks to us to this day. Shakespeare is always meant to be spoken aloud. It always has been. The hardest thing about doing Shakespeare is studying it in a classroom, because you're required to read it. You never get the story if you read it. It's not until you actually hear it that you understand the images, the music behind it.
Two truths are told as happy prologues to the swelling act of the imperial theme. Cannot be ill, cannot be good.
Comparing the classic version to the new one, I mean, the story is the same. It is always going to be the same. The biggest difference is going to be costumes and sounds and weapons. At the base of it, it's the same story.
It's a journey that, even as violent and as extreme as it is, it really comes back to a journey that a lot of people make in their lives that hinges on very kind of basic decisions about what kind of man you're going to become. Macbeth, unfortunately, is led down a path, and he is the kind of personality that is, once the trigger is sort of flipped, it reveals a really scary side of human nature.
Lady Macbeth is the wife to Macbeth. She is definitely a power-hungry woman, and the opportunity has arisen for her to, in essence, manipulate her husband and guide her husband in a way to power. In my research of Lady Macbeth, there have been many inceptions, from a very meek and loving wife that kind of gently pushes her husband to the idea, to what I'm playing, which is the use of sexual power in order to push her husband in a way that she sees fit, that he can govern and push and lead a country. We have definitely found the sexual power of Lady Macbeth and how she uses sex in order to get her husband to do the things that she wants him to do in order to attain power outside the home.
Move aside and let the man go through. Let the man go through. Move aside and let the man go through. Let the man go through.
In every production of Macbeth that I've ever seen, it's always been about just Macbeth and Lady Macbeth and ambition, and that leads to murder. But there's a good part of the story is actually the witch and the witches.
We started playing a little bit more with the paranormal and the metaphysical side of it. In the original show also, the witches pretty much only show up about 3 or 4 times, I kind of forget now. But what we've done is change the show around where it's she's much more of an instrument of how this whole thing transpires.
They're not just fortune tellers. I've never believed that. I think they are a greater force. We've really strived to make that clear in this production. It's an omnipresence that the witches have.
It's all about the witch.
The major aspect that's the big difference between our telling and the actual script is I am a woman and the character was written for a man. And that was really funny because the one thing that we knew we weren't going to change was prince to princess. The point is that are we getting across the relationship between a king and the heir and all the risks that comes with that whenever someone is prophesied to have that power instead. Malcolm is going to inherit everything that Macbeth wants and everything that her father had. Malcolm's importance in the storyline is that even though she, or he, if you're looking at the original script, is going to inherit this power, it's not like Malcolm is someone who's going to abuse it. Even though Malcolm is the Prince of Cumberland, with her father dying, you get to see how worthy she is of that power, even before she really knew she was going to have it. There's a bit of a double-edged sword to that, because she's still also not strong enough despite having integrity, despite being a person of good heart. And so she's smart enough to know she needs someone who can do the dirty work, and that's Macduff.
Sometimes you get the right people in the right room and good things happen, or sometimes very strange things happen.
I think there's a lot of real things in our world that you can relate this to, that relates to people becoming consumed with the pursuit of power.
You never want to change the story too much, because once you start shifting the story too much, then you're not paying any honor to the original work. You can update, all of these classics, but really the only difference really winds up being is sound, what you see and what you hear.